Welcome to Web 2.5. You're not in Web 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this first episode of the CTT podcast in the new studio. Hope everyone likes it. We'll add to it over time and make it look a lot better, but this is the initial version of it. We've got in the room our special guest, Tom, or at TheDeltron on Hive. How's it going, Tom? Good to have you.
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for having me. I think this studio is pretty awesome. Obviously, it's going to get a lot better over the years, but I think, you boys have done a good job. You've done a really good job. I love it.
Thank you. And then we've got Dave Call down in the room as well. How you doing? Our co-host.
Doing good. Yep. I'm happy for the studio. Finally getting something ready. So it's good.
All right. So we're going to take a look at our audio system. We've got a few audio files that have been submitted by groups as popular as the Stick Up Boys on Hive. We want to give a big shout out to them. And they've really contributed to this a lot. So we're going to go through a few of our in-show jingles that we think are nice and fun and relevant to the subject, and get your guys' reactions who are listening at home, and of course the two guys in the room as well. So let's start off with the first one. You guys ready?
Born ready.
Born ready. I like it. Let's play the first one then. This is I Smell a Pre-Mine.
I smell a pre-mine. I smell a pre-mine.
We smell a lot of pre-mines in our discussions, don't we, Dan?
Yes. You can smell them from a mile away.
We smell it from a mile away.
You can't hide it. Like a fart in an elevator.
You can pretend it wasn't you, but eventually you're going to get found out.
I think you should build a front end over coin market cap, so every time you click on a coin that has had a pre-mine, that plays, just so you know.
Yeah.
Just so you make sure that, you're not entering into something pretending not to be a security.
Exactly. The next one's kind of similar. It's ICO detected. And we kind of want to play these jingles mid-show whenever we find something that's clearly got an ICO, has clearly got a pre-mine or something like that. So think of that in this context. So here's the next one, ICO detected. Any thoughts on that one?
I think it's an important noise. It's an important noise to have out there, especially if you do actually detect an ICO, because how would you know? How would you know?
How would you know? You need that sound. You need it in your head. It needs to be embedded in your head, so we'll just play it again.
Feels like the police coming after you.
Yeah. They should.
Yeah.
They should.
They should be.
Yeah.
Well, there probably will be at some point.
When the SEC comes in.
Yeah. All right, the next one is Sound the Alarm. Let's have a listen to this.
Sound the alarm!
So say, as a scenario, so it's on your podcast, what situation are you going to be using that? What situation would you guys feel that you would need to sound the alarm?
Whenever we're talking about a shitty project.
Yeah. Anytime there's something that's crippling to the project, you just stop right there,
Yeah.
sound the alarms. There's no recovering from it.
Yeah. Have you got any examples of previous podcasts where you wished you could have actually sounded the alarm?
Well, there was definitely an example of a previous project where there was a ninja mine included that wasn't dealt with, and everyone was trying to,
Sound the alarm!
but it didn't work. So we had to fork away.
If only you had that noise, save you a lot of effort.
Yeah, it would have.
Learn.
Yeah, lesson
All right.
learned, guys.
This is one of my favorites, the next one. So obviously in the context of all of these chains that have got centralized entities controlling them, there's almost every chain has a CEO, which is just crazy. In a decentralized world where the base layers are supposed to be neutral and decentralized so that they provide digital human rights to the users, how on earth are there CEOs on these chains, right? So this one is, does your chain still have a CEO? Any initial thoughts on this before we play it?
I think we should.
Chain shouldn't have a CEO, bro.
Chain shouldn't have a CEO, bro.
I think we should be surprising the audience with the noise and then explain it afterwards. That way, now they're ready for CEO noises. They wouldn't be ready otherwise.
Okay, good. Right, here we go, let's play it.
Does your chain still have a CEO? Does your chain still have a CEO?
That's excellent.
It's good, isn't it?
Really, really well produced, aren't they?
It's good because like
They've done a fantastic job.
I mean, yeah, the Stick Up Boys are
Killing them
amazing.
softly.
Yeah.
Like imagine like a CEO of a chain starts talking and you just go, hold on a minute.
Did I hear CEO?
Does your chain still have a CEO? Does your chain
You'd be there enjoying the music and suddenly be like, holy shit, that's me.
Communities don't have CEOs, only centralized blockchains and companies.
Yes, that is the moral of that story. All right, let's move on to the next one. I won't give you any clues this time.
We're gonna regulate your family. We're gonna regulate your pets. We're gonna regulate your life.
It's my favorite one. I just see like the bald-headed guy from WEF, you know,
Yeah.
dancing to it.
I'm surprised the Sticker Boys didn't go further and be like, we're going to regulate your grandmother, and everything. But I think they restrain themselves a little bit. Any thoughts on that, Tom? Do you like being regulated?
I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. I like being left alone mostly.
Do
I
you
like
like-
doing, if I choose that good or service, such as regulation, then I wish to be regulated, but I've yet to have chosen to be regulated.
Okay.
You know, like a little forceful regulation. Just a tip.
I'm the one. I'm the one who likes to do the regulating. It's like just.
Just a little tip of the
We
regulator.
don't like to be regulated.
Yeah, I don't like to be regulated.
Against our will. No.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, you're surrounded by people that work on chains that cannot be regulated. So, well, unless by the community itself.
Yeah.
Regulators should become advisors, in my opinion, where they can advise people on whether or not something's a scam, whether they believe it's a scam. But they shouldn't have like powers to shut shit down and like destroy people's investments. For
I think it should be future regulators, because would you actually ever vote in any of the current regulators going on? I don't reckon. They've clearly done an absolutely terrible job and pissed everyone off.
There's that as well, yeah, exactly. All right, next one.
Pre-seed. Got ourselves a pre-seed. Got a pre-seed here.
So again, it comes back to the ICO.
ICO pre-seed, lots of rounds. You have ICO, and then you have more egregious errors like the pre-seed, which is like a super shitty ICO because only a few people can join in unfairly. It's about the shittiest thing you can do if you want censorship resistance, yeah?
I'd say so. Those pre-seeds are always attackable. You can always find out where they came from and who runs them and who owns them, and then call them up and make them comply. And
We're gonna regulate your family. We're gonna regulate your pets. We're gonna regulate your life.
Your life.
there you go. All right, this is my personal favorite, the next one. I really like this one. Ready?
Do you want to be the exit liquidity?
Because it seems that that's how most people are behaving. They're behaving like they want to be the exit liquidity. They're like, oh, please, master, please, CEO, please, founder of this chain, please guide us to decentralization. And they always say, oh yeah, we're partially centralized, but we're decentralizing over time, which is utter bullshit. And it's just like, ultimately, indirectly, whether you like it or not, you're using these poor community members as exit liquidity. You know, you're coming on these podcasts, you're coming on these Twitter spaces, you're talking a good game, you think your chain's really special because it's got some technical solution. But ultimately, what really happened is you had a massive pre-seed and a massive pre-mine. You got to get rid of those tokens, and you got to make it sound good to a load of people that are listening to you, so they go buy your token, which means that you can sell to them, and then
Do you want to be the exit liquidity?
I think the more you think about it, the more projects are out there that they're just literally fooling everyone, including themselves.
yeah.
Like,
I think there's a lot of fool of themselves going on.
yeah, it's quite mad, really.
And it's very immoral. When you think about it, like, you're sitting down on your Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, you're going to come on a show, talk on a podcast with people, like me and Dan, and you're going to shill your project to people, making out how good it is. And then when you look into it, there's an ICO where you got so much of the pre-mine, and now you're clearly looking to sell it to someone. You know, well, what, the listeners of people's shows? Like,
What's crazy is you have an ICO, which is, they're basically saying we're going to solve a problem, but we want to get paid. And then they end up not solving the problem, and they end up getting paid. And then every so often they come back and be like, oh, we're going to solve it this bull run. I got a little bit more tokens left.
yeah,
I remember-
so selling.
Need a little bit more exit liquidity,
I
please.
remember like projects during 2018, they would like kind of have this solution, this problem that they were solving. The moment they get past the kind of funding round, it's the solution will change slightly because they hadn't really thought it out. You're like, you haven't really thought it out. Were you just doing it for funds? Were you just doing it for funds? It seems to me
Coincidental.
coincidental, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one here.
We are in the world of centralized infrastructure. We are in the world of centralized infrastructure.
So that's a fairly clear statement. We are in a world of centralized infrastructure, and it's very important that we move away from that world if we want to keep our digital freedom.
It's kind of like Ready Player One. I actually watched that last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
They
it
all
kind
at
of?
the end attack the centralizing force because no one wants to be controlled.
Yeah.
Such a good film.
That's a good point, actually. It's like a corporate dystopian future of what these blockchains could potentially be. But even at the end of that movie, the people still rose up and attacked the
still rose
centralized stake. So you got to watch out, you centralized stakeholders.
Communities.
The people are coming for you. The community's coming for you.
Agree with that.
All right, next one.
How do you like your infrastructure? Decentralized.
Same thing again, I think. And there's a lot of infrastructure-based stuff here because of the work that we've done on the Speak network. We just think it's really important for infrastructures to be decentralized and incentivized by the protocol. I don't know hardly any protocols that are doing that. Some are doing it for their miners; they incentivize their miners, but all the other critical infrastructure on these chains, like storage and content delivery and encoding and all sorts of other types of content that's stored and run. No one's incentivizing infrastructure operators for those. They're just assuming they're going to bring and voluntarily run the node for free. So yeah, okay, maybe you could do that at low scale, but when it starts to scale, what are you going to do? You're going to have to call JP Morgan.
Yeah.
JP Morgan's going to come and run your nodes.
Do you guys think, obviously building these all these decentralized tools, do you see like the existing chains that are missing that decentralization adopting it, or do you see like newer chains coming on board which are going to effectively take this on board and kind of overtake the older legacy, less freedom-focused chains?
It could be a bit of both.
Yeah, I'd say both. There's going to be some that are so radically different because they try to do everything on one chain. Then there'll be some that actually fork, the community forks because they become too centralized, and then they'll realize, once a community forks, they realize all the bogus bullshit. They're like, holy shit, this is actually really expensive. We shouldn't have all this on one layer. We need to do this differently. And that's sort of what happened. So yeah, I think a lot of people, if they're truly decentralized, are going to look for stuff that's already built because the shit costs money. And if you decentralize, you're not getting funding, and you'll be quick to cut shit down when it comes out of your pocket. So you realize very quickly what is needed and what is bogus. But in ICO world, they just throw infinite money at it and thinking they're going to solve it. And that's why none of these chains have any real world use cases.
Yeah, I also see it as a multi-chain future, multi-chain, multi-layer. I think there's going to be multiple different layers. Everyone's trying to bang everything on layer one, like some elegant solution. This stuff isn't elegant. It's like it's all over the place. You need to have a layer dedicated to each type of solution, each thing that you're looking at, each thing that you're trying to serve, each service you're operating. You pretty much need a layer for it. And people saying layer one, layer two. And yeah, you could argue the layer one is the base layer with the accounts on it, with the transactions on it, with the most security on it. But there's loads of other layers around those layers, and everyone's calling them layer twos. It's hard to call them layer twos at this point. There's storage layers, there's escrow layers, there's smart contract layers. There's all sorts of different layers, incentivization layers for infrastructure. So there's going to be multiple layers, and the best layers, the best run layers, and the best operated layers are going to be hopefully applied to the relevant solutions that they're good at solving. And then hopefully, in addition to that, there's going to be multiple different chains able to log into the same applications. I think that's where it's going to get really interesting. When you're able to take your account from Bitcoin, your account from Ethereum, your account from Solana, your account from Hive, and use all of those, tie them together in some way, and use the same off-chain account system to log into the front ends. And those front ends all know that you own this Ethereum account, this Solana account, that Hive account. And that's all the content that you've produced from that account, and then they can show that content on the screen and have an indexer that ties it all together and shows it on the front ends of these apps. It's going to be multi-coin, multi-chain, multi-layer future, incredibly difficult to shut down, incredibly difficult to regulate, but by the communities themselves,
Yeah, I mean, you can compare it to a job. You give someone a job, you don't tell them to do 10 different things that require 10 different skills and pay them 10 different ways. You niche it out. You have the cook, you have the cleaner, you have the merchant up front. So I don't know why people think they can do everything on one chain, all the jobs on one layer for one set of validators that are so radically different. It's the exact same thing. It's like telling a cook to do everything. He has to be the cashier, he has to clean, he has to do all these things. And you realize you overload him and he does none of them good. And that's what, if you look at these high-fee chains, or these high-fee chains, they do nothing good because they're trying to do everything.
All right, should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
You all right, Tom?
All good?
Okay.
Yes, this sounds centralized. Yes. This sounds very centralized.
Very nice way of calling someone out.
Yeah.
Going to use that quite a lot on the podcast, aren't you, with some of the projects?
It's just going to be amazing as we go through and like review some of these projects and some of these blockchains. And it's going to be really cool because you just be able to. No, but hold on a minute.
Yes. This sounds centralized.
We don't even need to say anything.
Yes.
Just play the sound bites.
This sounds very centralized.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it does sound. Most of them do sound centralized. We'll be 2 lines in, and we can play that.
That's what the show's going to be.
Your tone sounds centralized. I bet there's a pre-mine. Yeah.
You're able to suss out all these projects just by your sound effects alone.
Right.
It's kind of the stage you've got to.
Right.
It's like how many jingles did they play on that show? Oh, that was fucking centralized project. That was.
It's not invested in that one.
108 jingles that round.
All right, see the next one.
Compliance. Compliance.
Well, that's fairly self-explanatory.
ETH validators like that one.
Oh yeah, they like that. Let's do that again for them.
Compliance. Compliance.
You ETH validators, you love your OFAC compliance.
You love that.
Didn't even ask you yet. They didn't even ask you yet. Wonderful.
They want to be regulated.
All right, next one.
Use Web 2 as a traffic funnel.
I know you like this one, Dan.
Yeah. A lot of people need to treat Web3 like their home and Web2 like the traffic funnel, because Web2 is advertising, getting their butts in the seats, but you don't own your site on Web2. You're renting. Worse, you're not even renting. It's like you have no rights. They can, at least with a rental contract, they can't just arbitrarily kick you out. They got to give you some kind of parameter to protect yourself. But here, they can just overnight take your things and not even tell you why. So the amount of effort people put into Web2, and then they don't have a home of their own, is astonishing. And there's a reason why your Web3 home doesn't have 1 million people, because you haven't invited them yet. It's like expecting someone else to advertise your own house party. It's not going to happen. You got to advertise it. It's your house. X don't care about your Web3 platform. They have no control, and they're not making any money off of it. But they are making money off your X account. Keep that in mind. You are their exit liquidity.
I'll tell you something else as well. The first major Web2 content creator that realizes this and moves their audience to their own Web3 properties that they actually own themselves, it's over. Because that platform is going to become overnight one of the most powerful entities on the planet, because they can't be shut down, and it's a platform that exists in its own right. This technology is already available. There's already people running their own platforms, Web3 enabled, where the communities run the infrastructure for them. It's only a matter of time until someone that's big in the Web2 world figures this out and is like, hold on a minute, I can run my own platform. My community can run the infrastructure for me, and I can also tokenize it with my own economy. And we can do it in a way that's not illegal as well. And it's like that, when that realization kicks in, and Web2 influencers with 100,000 followers, 1 million followers, start realizing that they can have, 1 million followers is an economy the size of a small town, a city. This is going to get pretty crazy pretty quickly over the next few years. I really think so. And this is the whole point of this this jingle.
Use Web 2 as a traffic funnel.
We should all be using the Web2 properties. The only thing that we should view Web2 as now is a way to funnel traffic from Web2 to our own Web3 properties that we actually own. And then once you start doing that, it's just going to snowball, and it's going to be crazy.
Yep. Very important to realize. Own your account. Get the butts in the seats while you still can. Because one day you might be banned off of X, and you might be banned off of Rumble, and I think that's the last. You got Kick out there. You used to have a bunch more. Now it's dwindling down to a handful, really. Everyone laughs at YouTube, right? You're going to get censored there after, before too long. Use it while you can, because pretty soon it's going to be all fake, all insider, all you're not going to go viral because we don't want you to go viral. This guy's going to go viral because we have an agenda. That's what's going to happen, and you're going to lose your reach. So if you have 1 million followers right now and you don't have them on an account you own, That's nuts, man. That is absolutely crazy. It's like I can't even think of an analogy for it. How high risk it is.
I don't think there is one.
Yeah, I mean, you're betting. You have your whole infrastructure. You have your whole life, essentially, your whole power as a human, in someone else's hands that can easily erase you. So it's like you go from being super powerful to having nothing overnight. All you need to account you own, and that problem goes away forever.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Use your Web 2 to funnel traffic to Web 3 as much as you can while you still can.
Stop using YouTube.
I think that one's fairly obvious.
Self-explanatory. I think most people should hear that quite regularly.
Yeah. Use 3Speak or some other open source version of 3Speak. 3Speak is open source. It's a video platform. Anyone can copy it, run their own version of it. You don't need to rely on us for running your infrastructure. There's a desktop app as well. Desktop apps are really important because the desktop apps run locally on your desktop. So they tie into the chain. They present the chain to your desktop, and they completely bypass the web browser. So web browsers can no longer shut you down. You can't be shut down in your web browser anymore. Super important stuff. It doesn't have to be 3Speak that people use for their video. It could be anything else, but please check to see if it's got its own decentralized infrastructure. Please check to see if the storage is done by the community and not by the founders or the operators of the platform. Yeah, super important stuff. And this is going to start to become more apparent as time goes on here.
How do you guys feel about people like uploading on YouTube and 3Speak? Because I know like as like on Hive, it's kind of the idea of plagiarism. Like you don't want to upload, even if there's issues, even if you own the content sometimes. But like, let's say you got like a big account on YouTube, but they're releasing it on other Web3 apps. Like, are you guys down with that, or do you know, are you purists think they should only go on 3Speak?
No, I think you spread it around as much as possible. The whole point of 3Speak is to back up your content immutably, and then use Web 2 to draw to your account that you own. The desktop app isn't even 3Speak. Anyone can download that. There's no profit. There's nothing we can, it's not ours. It's the community. So it's literally yours if you were to download and use it. You don't have to worry about any centralized custodian. But yeah, our thought on 3Speak is just to give people a parallel place to have freedom of speech in video form. Hive couldn't do that on the main chain. So we realized very quickly that we had to find an off-chain incentivized solution, and that's what we've been building.
And, if you want to get technical on it, then you could argue that, okay, upload it to 3Speak first and then to the other platforms after. And that way, any people who have a really real problem on Hive with things like plagiarism or perceived plagiarism, then you can technically argue and win the argument at that point if you upload to 3Speak first. And it depends what you're uploading for as well. Like Dan says, if it's just to protect your freedom of speech or back up your content, then fine. If you're doing it primarily to mine Hive rewards and crypto rewards from your content, then there's going to be other people that may disagree with that and may downvote and remove your rewards. So just be cognizant of it. And yeah, I'd personally upload to 3Speak first and then the other platform second.
Yeah, I've got a couple of web series that I'm soon to be launching, which I'll announce in due time. But it's like I am thinking like, 3Speak's that backup. Like I'm not doing any content that's potentially contentious with anyone. It's fairly generalist stuff. But the idea is you'd own your own content. Like I think, as long as you've got it on there, the others can shut down. Let's say, someone decided that they didn't like something about me and ban me from a platform, because that's a potential. Like you could have like a dodgy opinion, even though it's a normal opinion, they could cut you off from the internet, yet, and then get rid of all your account. Like they're taking away people's bank accounts for having the wrong opinions, for God's sake, Yeah. And it's the same with content. So like anything I do, like, since obviously you kind of, any YouTube series or any series that I'm going to be releasing in the future, I will be putting it on 3Speak. I'll probably put it on 3Speak first and be utilizing, the platform on the other platforms to direct them to 3Speak. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather everyone was on something where, they can't be shut down and I'm seeing the raw thing,
The other thing as well is on 3Speak, the more traffic that you get to your content, the more crypto rewards you'll mine. It's not an exact science, but over time it does even out like that, where if you're constantly directing and driving traffic from your Web 2 properties to your Web 3 property that you actually own, then the more views and likes and interactions that thing gets, the more crypto it's going to mine to the publisher's account. So that's a big incentive to do that. The other thing that I'd say as well is, well, first of all, Tom, if you guys don't know, Tom's really big into media. He runs his own media companies in London, and is a very talented videographer and movie maker and scriptwriter. So I'm super excited to see some of Tom's work going forwards, and we'll do a separate video on you and the stuff that you're bringing to Hive, Tom. So yeah, I just think it's going to be cool. These tools are for everyone. You know, these tools are there for people like you, for normal people, for not saying you're not normal, but you're not really, because you're a proper media person. You know, like I'm talking about just normal users.
Yeah.
And then they're for big companies, they're for big data storage people as well to come in. And the other thing I want to mention there as well is you said that your content is yours on ThreeSpeak. So the account is yours. So right now the account is yours for sure. We can't take the account away. It exists on a separate layer called Hive, and it's a decentralized layer that's got no owners. So your account can't be taken off you there. In the very, very near future, we've spent the last 2 years building something called the Speak Network, which is a back-end infrastructure for video platforms and other social media platforms in the Web3 space, which allows your community members to store your content on your behalf instead of us. So right now, we'll store your content, and if we disappear, then maybe your content could be at risk. But over the next few weeks, we're literally just going into testnet in like the next couple of days. So that testnet will probably take 3 to 5 months, and then we'll roll out the full network and start integrating it into the platforms on Hive. Which means that then at that point, anyone that wants, you know, if you put an incentive behind your content because you think it's important and you don't want to be the only person backing it up or paying lots of money for servers to back it up, other people are going to be there with their free computer disk space, and they can use that to back your content up for you far cheaper than you could by paying a separate server, like a Wasabi server, or running your own storage devices. So that's going to be super interesting, because it means that you're going to be able to put up a little bit of an incentive to the community, and then community members are going to be able to come along and store the content that you think is important on your behalf and have multiple copies of that around the internet, guaranteed staying online for as long as the contracts exist. So that's very, very important for media people, for media platforms, for content platforms, and just individual content creators to be able to use to make sure their content's backed up and available. So if a ThreeSpeak did disappear, then you've still got the desktop app that you can use that's still going to be on your desktop, and then it will also be back-end backed up by all your community, and then the infrastructure is run by your community as well. So we're moving to that world, and we're doing a lot of work towards getting there. At the moment, it's not perfect just yet, but it's definitely on its way.
I mean, you guys have come a long way. It's actually fantastic what you built. I think, I think everyone should appreciate what you guys have done. Like, it's pretty dope. Like, if I do say to myself, I am a media professional, but I think, the world can realise that this is some pretty important tech out there, guys. Let's hope more people notice. Let's hope the more videos we release, the more stuff we get out there, the more we can get it to the masses and get them on things like bloody Twitter and Rumble. Jesus.
For sure. It's happening. Appreciate that, Tom. All right, let's move on to the next one here.
This tweet needs Hive responders.
So I don't know if you want to talk about this one, Dan?
Play it again.
This tweet needs Hive responders.
This one needs Hive responders.
This tweet.
This tweet needs Hive. Yeah.
We're still sorting out the levels of our buttons, aren't we?
Yes,
the Web 2 funnel is very real. Hivers are soldiers out there. It's a war of attention and focus. All you need to do is focus on something else. Like the wars in the past, you usually actually had to pick up and do something. Now it's literally just typing in a different browser, a different name to a different site, clicking a few buttons and getting involved. Couldn't be easier to join the right movement.
I mean, ultimately,
Tweet needs Hive responders.
if you hear that and you listen to our show, it's a shout out, a call to action for you to go. We'll probably be talking about a tweet on the screen that just happened from some blockchain influencer that thinks they understand what crypto is or what decentralization is. And they're probably really touting a completely centralized system to you. And we need Hive responders who are listening to the show to go on, tweet a response to that tweet or comment on that tweet, and then copy that tweet and post it underneath the CTT content on Hive, and we will upvote those comments. So basically, when we do this,
This tweet needs Hive responders.
we're basically saying that we're going to reward you with crypto for going and commenting on these tweets, and you just provide proof that you've done the comment on Hive, and we'll give it a nice upvote. So,
Value for value.
Value for value, that's it. You're providing value to us, and we'll provide value back to you. You going to say something there, Tom?
Yeah, I just think it's a really cool call to action. I mean, yeah, I think every podcast needs them. It's like, every podcast fighting for freedom. It's like, hang on, stuff's going on. Beep. Off we go.
Sure.
Bat signal.
Yeah, the bat signal.
signal,
But it's parachuting out to the Twitterverse.
Yeah.
Which they shouldn't even be on, because they should all be on Hive.
All right, next one.
Do you want to own your own content, mate?
Do you want to own your own content, mate? Well, that's just we've kind of just detailed that really in the last two ago. If you start using these tools that we're making freely available to everyone, you will own your own content. Your community will store it on your behalf, and they will run the infrastructure that serves that content to the rest of the internet. You will no longer rely on any Web2 platforms, and you will own your own content, mate.
For the first time, people can get involved. It's the content creator relying on some company like Google to store all their content, and then they get censored, and everyone starts bitching and crying. Well, now the community can literally step up, and it's like, well, do you really believe in what's going on? Do you believe in this community, this movement? Then get involved and store some video, be a part of the movement. And I think a lot of people are going to want to do that. They give out donations, they help in various ways, but a lot of the time they feel helpless. It's like, well, how can I help? Oh, I'll go email Twitter an angry email to try to get your account back. But if they could literally be a part of it and say, well, I'll store your infrastructure. They're not going to store it. We'll store it. Might not store it all myself, but me, Jim Bob, and a dozen other of us, well, we got the job done. So it's the most powerful thing you can think of. If you have a true community and you're not just shitting on them, you will have somebody that has your back if you fall.
Yeah, true that. We've seen that with the Steam Hive takeover.
Yep.
All right, next one. Okay.
I'm ready.
Welcome to Web 2.5. You're not in Web 3.
So this is something that Dan and I have, we've called these fake Web3 systems that a lot of people in blockchain are touting. They're not decentralized. They rely on one or two central parties. They can be regulated. They can be called up by the government and shut down or reasoned with. These are not Web3. They are Web 2.5. Not quite Web 3, not quite Web 2, Web 2.5.
I actually went to a conference in London. It was a Web 3 conference. We get there, right? I was like, okay, Web 3. It was in a fancy members club. I got an invite. I came along. I thought, I'll go see them. Kind of had to keep my mouth shut because it's like people speaking on stage. You've got Meta, like Epic Games. It's like, where's the Web 3? Where's the Web 3?
Welcome to Web 2.5. You're not in Web 3.
You enter the conference.
I wouldn't even give it the 0.5, man. like that's generous.
It's Web 1.8.
Yeah, 1.8.
Going back in fucking time.
Yeah, but it's like all they did was talk about NFTs and stuff like this. Is like that's the Web 3. It's like no, it's not. It's not. Like Web 3 is cutting out these middlemen like yourselves who are sat on stage talking about how we're going to regulate the metaverse and things like this. It's like this doesn't sound very. Yeah, who do you think you are?
Like introducing the CEO of Web 3.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg comes up. It's a hologram of him coming out because he's too good to be there.
We've got to be, when that happens, we've got to be in the corner on the little front row going.
The CEO.
Welcome to Web 2.5. You're not in Web 3.
That's what that one's for. All right, should we move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So these next three are a little switch up, and they are dedicated to infrastructure operators, the unsung heroes of Web3. Right? These people need to be shouted out as much as possible. They really pull a lot of weight, and I don't think it's quite possible to express on camera how important they are. So we've got one for encoder node operators, one for storage operators, and one for content delivery network operators. So here's the first one.
Salute.
Salute.
Oh my god, your encoder is so big.
That's it. You got to be walking around showing everyone how big your encoder is. And everyone else has got to be like, oh my God, you got to get laid because you got a big encoder. That's where we've got to take this in the future. It's true. Like it's a big deal. You're a big infrastructure operator. You're going to be mining a shitload of rewards. You're going to be walking around blinging. You're going to have a lot of influence.
It's a brave new world.
It's a brave new world. Yep. So people are going to be saying, oh my God, your encoder's so big. I'll just play that again because I like the girl's voice.
Oh my god, your encoder is so big.
All right.
I think on the podcast you guys should have like an unsung hero of the week, and that way you can give a shout out. I think that'd be dope.
That would be.
But I mean, do you guys reckon you know who this week's unsung hero would be?
There's too many. There's too many to single out, really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be fair right now to mention one, but we should do something like that.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe like top 3, all equal.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that hang around the show that do either test the infrastructure or they run the infrastructure, and we just wanted to have these for those guys, really make sure they get a bit of a shout out. All right, next one.
Whoa, I never saw such a nice storage node before.
Imagine like this is the future. If you've got a really nice polished storage node, you could have good-looking women walking around going, "Oh my God, your storage node is so good."
Earn reputation that's immutable.
Yeah, reputation that's
The new
immutable. You can
Rolex.
flash it out, flash it there on your phone. It's got your reputation, got your NFTs.
The
Got
biggest-
we think that NFTs are more like battle medals, right? We think that you're going to earn them for being a tester. You're going to earn them for being part of a takeover. You're going to earn them for defending against a hostile attack. And you're going to have all these like military NFT badges that show how much of a badass you are in the world of Web3. That's how it's going to be in the future. And people are going to like show these NFTs that they legitimately earn because they're in a freaking war. And you're going to be able to get access to VIPs and clubs and stuff because of it, you know? At the moment, you just have to be lucky to get into some NFT ICO for some apes. It's like, but in the future, there'll be legit like battle medals, I think.
Agreed.
All right, next one. Last one.
Last one.
Will you put my video on your CDN, baby?
Will you put my video on your CDN, baby? That's it.
CDNs are going to be in high demand.
Yep. CDN operators, content delivery network operators. This all sounds pretty geeky and stuff, but it's really important stuff. And if you get selected by wealthy content creators or platform operators to be their content delivery network node, there's going to be money coming your way for hosting that stuff on the content delivery network and serving it to the end viewers or the end content consumers of those content platforms. So yeah, hopefully at some point in the future you're going to have all sorts of pros and benefits from running good, solid content delivery network nodes.
Definitely be earning some NFTs.
Cannot wait for that day.
Well, the beauty is it's getting to a point where it's all automated. So you just run the node. You don't really need to be that competent in the technical side anymore. So normal people are going to be able to run these nodes and provide this type of expertise.
So as like myself, I'm a media professional. I legit have hundreds upon hundreds of terabytes worth of hard drives.
Right.
And it's duplicated. I was considering clearing them out. But if I had an incentive to kind of connect them to the network, you know, to actually provide kind of storage for these videos, like, I don't know. It sounds like something I should be doing, right?
Assuming someone wants to store your videos.
Yeah.
But this that has many different aspects to it as well, because it's like one of the things that we'll do on 3Speak when these tools are in place, we'll make an announcement. We'll give people plenty of warning and notice, but we'll make an announcement to basically say above a certain number of views, we'll keep the video around. We'll pay to store it. We'll pay to keep it online. If it's got above a certain number of interactions and stuff, it's in our interest as 3Speak to keep that stuff online. So if your content's able to bring views and things like that, then other people will probably want to pay to keep it online. You know, or if you want to pay to keep it online because you're worried about having it all on one server or whatever, then you could probably put a few dollars that you can spare into the network and see how many of the videos get stored and backed up. You know,
Isn't part of the platform like you can actually provide hard drive space to
yes.
to these guys?
Plus that, so if you've got empty hard drive space or empty computers that you don't use, or upon which the hard drive space you don't use, then you can just go. We've set up systems where you can just click to download the last 48 hours worth of videos.
Yeah.
Or the last 48 hours worth of files, put them like bulk, store them onto your machine, pin them to an IPFS node, serve them to the network, and when you get pinged, when you get checked by the network, you'll get rewards for that for the people who are paying for that contract.
And that's available now, right?
It's in testnet now.
Testnet.
The tech's built, it works. We don't want to officially release it because we haven't tested it thoroughly. Obviously, the last thing we want is people start putting money into the network and then it gets drained somehow.
Yeah.
So we want to really thoroughly test it for a few months. But the tech's there, it works. Yeah, it's there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Test it yourself.
Yeah, and also that's the other thing. You'll get NFTs and you'll get respect and credibility for coming and being part of the testnet. Dan and I are also putting testnet systems together where we'll do 2-week sprints. And in the 2 weeks, the idea is you as a normal person will come along, try to set up a node, Try to store some videos. Try to write your own contracts. Try to earn your own bracken. Try to mine some speak tokens to your node. And every time you do one of those things, the network will see it, and we're going to pay you some rewards. So you'll get it's like monetary incentives for taking part in testnets with recordable deliverables that you have to meet, and then we'll get great feedback from normal people trying to take part in that. Because we can set the nodes up ourselves, but we're the people that built it, so it's not really a fair comparison. But if we just get like normal people who are the people that we want to get involved in this, then we'll get great feedback and we'll be able to make the process easier and easier and easier until the point where it's really easy for just a normal person to click a few buttons and set a node up. And that being said, this brings me on to another angle of Speak Network, where Hive's been pretty cool because most people can blog and most people can earn rewards. So it's like a Trojan horse where the rewards get distributed far and wide because most people can make blogs or content. But we think this has got even more viral potential because everyone can run a storage node. You know, as long as you've got a computer, you can run a storage node. And you don't need to do anything that complex. You can just set a program running that continuously downloads the last 48 hours worth of videos to your computer. So with that, you can earn rewards. And it means to me that the viral potential of this is massive because most people, there's never been anything crypto so far where it's just a case of running your own hard storage device and then plugging it into the network. Yeah. You know, that's really easy for most people to do. And so the potential for wide distribution is massive on Speak Network. And I'm really looking forward to that happening.
Sounds pretty sick.
Whereas if you take previous blockchain projects, you have to be a miner, right? And to be a miner, that's quite technically difficult to do. You know, most people can't just set up a mining rig and mine. You know, and even now it's got even more complicated with mining guilds and things like that, mining pools.
Yeah, I mean, they ultimately form the pools, staking pools and mining pools. Yeah.
So I just think it could be really, really cool. All right, I think that was the last one. Yeah, let's do it one more time.
Will you put my video on your CDN, baby?
There we go.
Yeah,
not tonight.
nice jingles.
So that's it. That's our jingles. We've shown you our jingles.
Yeah.
I hope they were nice and shiny.
Yeah. We'll look forward to hearing them in further episodes, you know?
Yes.
I think they're going to be pretty damn funny in the future.
Have you guys got a favourite we'll go back to?
I like the we're going to regulate your life one.
We're going to regulate your family. We're going to regulate your pets. We're going to regulate your life.
Okay.
I
you like a bit of regulation, do you, Dan? I see.
I like how audacious it is.
What was yours?
I smell a pre-mine. Like, I think it's just
the first
straight
one.
to the point, you know?
Yeah.
Just...
I smell a pre-mine. I smell a pre-mine.
I just like envision you guys on a show with this going, what's this? What?
Yeah.
I smell a pre-mine.
That's it. Hold on. I can smell something. Let's just think of a project.
Ethereum.
Hold on. Can you smell something?
Smells
something
big fat pre-mine.
I smell a pre-mine. I smell a pre-mine.
That's it.
What about you? What's your favorite?
I absolutely love this one.
Do you want to be the exit liquidity?
I just think it's applicable to most people, and they need.
It's so friendly.
So many people are deluded by it as well, aren't they?
Yeah. They are the exit liquidity, and they just don't realise it. You know. So hopefully we can move people away from that and get them to understand what's really going on. All right. Well, that's all we got. Thanks for being on for this first episode, Tom.
Thank you for having me,
Appreciate
guys.
being here.
Very first episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Like, looking forward to hanging out again in the future. But no, that was sick. Thank you very much.
It's going to be awesome. All right.
Cheers.
That's the end of it. Thank you. Speak to you all soon.